When I was starting out as an editor, I remember always wishing that I could just sit behind a professional editor and look over their shoulder all day while they were working on a real project. So that's what we're going to be doing today. I wanted to invite you along as I show you track by track how I built the sound design on a recent commercial that I finished. There's a couple things about this spot that made it extra fun and challenging from a sound design perspective. First, the main character is 3D animated, so it relies heavily on sound to bring him to life. And second, it was actually shot on a virtual production stage. So the truck you're gonna see is actually sitting in a studio with a 70-foot LED wall behind it, playing the moving background. Because of those two things, when I brought in the project to my editing software, I literally had no sound to start. So let's take a look. To give you a sense of the story, I'm gonna show you the whole spot with just the dialogue. Here we go.
Are you okay? You seem upset. Turns out you were right. Our car was breaking down and we did need a new one with a loan from America First Credit Union. Me saying there was no hurry and to wait was wrong. Hey, on the bright side, we got to meet Huey.
Get your money working with a low-rate auto loan from America First.
Huey, help me!
I'm gonna mute the dialogue so we can go sound by sound. On this opening exterior shot, we wanted the sound to also have an exterior perspective. So let's listen to some of these sounds. First, we have a bus driver engine idle turning off sound. Then I actually have an electric car driving fast, stopping wheels is the name of this sound. Kind of adds some airiness. Old Beetle car. This is where we get in kind of the discomfort of this old truck. And then to add to that exterior sound perspective, we have some wind howling. And then finally, this last sound I want to show you on this opening shot is really important to the story. We wanted a sound that said car breaking down, and I think this did a pretty good job. It's like a gas release sound. Now the scene shifts to the interior of the truck, so these sounds should have more of an interior perspective. We'll start with this old car driving down the road. I really love that sound. It really feels like an old rough riding truck, which is really what we're going for to add to the comedy. This sound is called driving with windows open interior perspective. I really like that sound. It really feels like you're in a rough riding truck. Now we have another truck. This is a Dodge military truck driving fast. Let's see what this sounds like. I think some of the acceleration sounds in that add a really nice layer. And then let's check out driving interior perspective air conditioning engine rattling sound. Just another nice layer. And just to be clear, I do expect a lot of these to make it into the final sound mix, but sometimes I'm actually giving the re-recording mixer different options, so they can kind of pick and choose what works best. And I think in this case, they might not use all 5 of these sounds, but they might use a few of them. We'll just have to wait and see when we hear the final sound mix at the end. So in addition to those ambiances, now we want to add some specific sounds that really emphasize the discomfort. So let's take a listen. Okay, here we have some wooden bed kind of creaking. Let's hear what this sounds like. So that's kind of a cool sound to play during her close-up. You can really hear the sound of her weight shifting. And then down here we have a rusty metal hinge squeak. Let's hear what that sounds like. Okay, subtle but pretty cool. And then we bring back the metal hinges on one of these shots later in the commercial. Let's take a listen. Now let's check out my favorite part of this little story that had some really cool opportunities for sound design. Let's listen to these 3 tracks of paper sounds I brought in to really bring the bill to life. And now let's check out the impact sound of him hitting the windshield. And then as soon as she starts rolling down the window, we wanted a big whoosh of wind to motivate him flying up against the windshield. Let's take a listen to some of these sounds. Here's an extreme climate thunderstorm ambience. Here's an airy whoosh. That really gave me the impression that air was swooping in. I really like that one. Here's a winter freezing, howling, gusting. Let's take a listen. Okay, and now let's get into the actual sound of her rolling down the window. Out the window, car manual window opening. Let's take a listen. That one had a nice thunk to it, but I actually used multiple sounds to make this work, so let's keep going. Here's a car window opening and closing manually. Okay, in that one you can kind of hear the whole motion, which is nice. Here's some squeaking that adds to it. And then let's check out one more. Another nice thunk. Let's hear all of those together. Now let's take a look at the very last shot so I can show you some of the paper sounds and the ambiances that I used there. Okay, first we have this poster sheet rolling, handling sound effect. And these ambiances are mostly repeats for what you heard in the previous shots. So I'm going to show you them all at once. And last but not least, we wanted to add some music coming from the truck stereo. This is known as diegetic music. That means it's coming from inside the world of the film and the characters can hear it. And then during the art card, we have non-diegetic music, which sounds like this. And before I play the final mix, I have to give a huge shout out to director Scott Rice. He is ultra talented and it was so fun to be a part of bringing his vision to life. And of course, the re-recording mixer, David Bewley at Pony Sound in Austin, Texas, who just made this sound fantastic. Here it is.
Are you okay? You seem upset. Turns out you were right. Our car was breaking down and we did need a new one with a loan from America First Credit Union. Me saying there was no hurry and to wait was wrong. Hey, on the bright side, we got to meet Huey.
Get your money working with a low-rate auto loan from America First.
Huey, help me!
I hope it was helpful for you to take a look behind the scenes with me today. And if you got value out of this video, please subscribe to the channel. And you might want to check out my free editing guide at the link in the description. And now that you know how sound design comes together, you should watch this video next. Happy editing.